Welcome everyone. I'm Jacqueline Sabatka, the owner of Lady Leader Lifestyle and the creator of Little Black Dress, Resolution Rescue, Fitness Foundations. In the summer, we're doing a fat loss program for women called No Cover Up Summer. Pretty exciting. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to do an interview. This is actually my first interview ever, so I'm pretty pumped about it. We're just going to go off the cuff, but there's something special about this interview. So this is Matt. And he is 2 days out.
Yeah?
Yeah, 2 days out from the Kentucky Derby Show. And he had just competed 2 weeks ago. But that is not what's special. What's special is Matt has been competing since he was 16 years old. What were you doing? What were you eating? And how were you acting at 16 years old, right? So the really kind of neat part is I knew of Matt 4 years ago. I went to a show of his, and I was there for the person that he was competing against, and he had actually won, so it was pretty exciting. And he had been, 16?
Yep.
Yeah, he was 16 there. And I was blown away. I was just like, wow, somebody at 16 years old can go through the mindset of prep, learn the nutrition, the exercise, the supplementation. Just that is a lot to take on when you are in high school. So I was really impressed then, but I didn't know much about him. So about a year ago, I have this little stud muffin come up to me in the gym, and I was really impressed. Like, not very many people knocked me off my feet, and I was really, really impressed because I knew he was young. I knew he had an incredible physique for somebody being super young. I had watched him in the gym for a while, so I knew his training technique was something I approved of. Like, he wasn't just some dude doing Bosu ball squats and stuff. He did legit hardcore exercise and training. And he approached me with a ton of respect. And he seemed like a sponge. He just wanted to learn as much as he possibly can. He was super passionate about the sport. And it's really hard to find people grown like that, let alone young people. So I wanted to take the time to just shoot some questions at him. I know he's a couple days out from his show, and typically people feel terrible then. But I just wanted to hopefully have him put some insight to people that are wanting to compete, young people interested in competing, because I will be honest, I am not someone that would encourage somebody to compete that is in high school or college. It's extremely challenging for grown people, so it's not something that I would necessarily encourage, and so I want to get a perspective for somebody that's doing it, that loves it, that's passionate about it. And just kind of let you guys make your own choices, make your own decisions. So, welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. So what I wanted to talk to you about, I just wanted you to give them the 411 on what got you into competing. Like, what was that pivotal moment in your life that goes, this is what I want to do, this is what I love, because you have literally started and not looked back. So what is it that happened in your life that brought you into bodybuilding?
I would say the pivotal moment was when I was at the airport when I was 14, and at the magazine stand I saw a picture of Jay Cutler on MD, and I picked that magazine up, and for the 3 hours on the flight to Phoenix, I read that thing from front to back.
Okay, so Jay Cutler, that's somebody that inspires a ton of people. If you guys don't know, he's somebody that's been Mr. Olympia
4 times.
4 times. So that's a big deal. And Mr. Olympia is the biggest bodybuilding show that anybody can be a part of. It's a huge honor to be a part of it. So was there anything that happened in your life when you were 13 years old that actually made you want to change the way you looked? Like, that is a hard time for people growing up sometimes. I know for me, I personally, you might not be that kid, but I personally got made fun of a lot. Or was there something was there a reason why you wanted to change your body at such a young age?
Going through puberty and being like 11 or 12, 13, middle school age, I started to notice that my gut would come out underneath my shirt, and I would see like myself in the mirror, and I started not to like that. And
so it wasn't nobody was making fun of you.
I was never made fun of. Actually, I was a little snot of a kid. I think I thought I was.
You thought you're badass.
Yeah, I thought I was cool. I thought I was one of the popular kids. So no one never ever made fun of me. But I think it was more for myself. Like, I wasn't comfortable with how I looked or who I was, I think.
Okay, well, that's very cool. So when was it that you actually decided, I'm going to compete, and how did that even come about? Because I know that you got motivated by Jay Cutler. and you read that magazine, it got you really excited to see what the body was capable of. But what was the like moment when you decided I wanted to actually compete at such a young age? And did anybody like warn you, or did anybody like say, is this really what you want to do?
No, no one ever warned me or anything along those lines. And to be honest, I don't know the exact moment. I don't remember the exact moment. I know after I picked up that magazine and went on that vacation, I joined a gym about a month later, and I just started working out like a bodybuilder instead of just someone trying to, get fit, I suppose. And I knew, so it became around the summer, and I knew during the summer that I wanted to compete. I just didn't know when, and I didn't know.
How did your
what
family
show.
respond to you wanting to compete? Is that something that they even knew about, heard about?
They had never heard about it, never understood it, were very cautious of it. It was very foreign to them. And at first they weren't very supportive, not at all.
How did you handle that? Because I know for me, going through contest prep or going through any kind of lifestyle change, I had to realize that I was changing, and I had to teach the people around me that this is something that I'm going to be consistent at so that they could learn to support it. So how did you deal with that at such a young age, being able to kind of combat that your circle wasn't super supportive?
Well, when I was actually prepping or before I was prepping for my first show?
Were they supportive while you were prepping?
In a way.
They had to learn.
I suppose. In a way they were supportive, but it was constant bickering, constant battles, I think, more than anything. Because my mom always had made my lunch, and I began to make my own lunch after that and weigh out all my food, and why can't you eat dinner with us, or why can't you do that? And that just caused a whole lot of problems.
Okay, and I want you guys to understand. So he is in middle school, right?
No,
was this,
I was
or
in
high school? Okay, he was in high school when this was happening. So this is a prime time for men and women to start to have body dysmorphia or self-image issues or obsessive behaviors when it comes to nutrition, exercise. And I'm sure there was a part of his parents that were just concerned because, one, they didn't understand bodybuilding, and two, they didn't want him to fall prey to any of that kind of stuff. So I do understand that, but what made you not go that route? What made you go more on the bodybuilding, be healthy, be energized, and not go to the eating disorder or the extreme? Because that's a young age. That's a very young age to get really passionate about something.
I mean, I would say it's because I got into bodybuilding before I was 15 or 16 or 17 when you start having those kind of body dysmorphic.
So you think bodybuilding actually helped you not go to that place because you understood you have to eat to gain muscle, you have to eat to burn fat, you have to eat to get results.
Exactly.
So you learned that at that time. So it made you not want to go to the don't eat, wither away, because a lot of people they have that misconception. They think I know I did. And I ended up having an eating disorder for years because I didn't have the knowledge that he had, and they don't teach the knowledge that he gained over time and research and learning and reading magazines, that I assumed eat less, be skinny, eat less, be ripped. Whereas he was able to, that's huge. He was able to learn what he needed to learn in that pivotal time in his life so that instead of going backwards and becoming more of an eating disorder, he was able to use that to fuel him to be better. So that's huge, 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 huge. I think that's so exciting to come to that realization, because I think nowadays kids don't learn that information. So they just go based on assumption and diet, don't eat, less calories, low fat, all that kind of stuff, that it takes them the other way. And so I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think most people have that whole, well, if I eat less and I exercise more, I'll get skinnier, I'll look good. And a lot of times that's not the case. If you don't eat and you only eat 2 times a day, that's just as unhealthy.
Setting your metabolism up for failure.
It's just as unhealthy as overeating, in my opinion.
It is. It absolutely is. I totally agree. So let's get into some of the nitty gritty. I wanted to ask Matt, just kind of, what would you say to people that are young, looking into bodybuilding, or how would you prepare somebody to know what it takes to do contest prep?
To know what it takes, I don't think there's really any way to prepare, actually. I think you get into it and you will learn very quickly whether you have what it takes or not. You learn yourself. And in my humble opinion, you have to have the attitude that, okay, I have this diet plan, I have this exercise routine, I have this cardio plan, and I have to do A, B, C, and D every single day to get to where I need to be.
To get to Z.
Get to Z, exactly. And it would be physically impossible, like against the laws of physics, for you to stray from that plan. Like, as we were sitting here, it would be physically impossible for me to go to the cafe, order a cookie, and eat that cookie. Like,
it is possible, but it's impossible if you want to get to your results.
In your head,
you have to think
you
like
have
that.
to think. I just can't do it. Someone says why, I can't. It's simple as that.
And that's a great realization to come to. So I'm a little bit in the disagreement because I coach people. So I think there's a lot of preparation that you can do for people, like, because I've been through it. So I tell people the cost, I tell people the expenses, I tell people what kind of mindset, what kind of emotions, what kind of feelings that they're going to have. But like he's saying, there's nothing that's going to prepare you to actually feel it, actually go through it, actually get through the temptations until you actually live it, right? So that's huge. That's something I just learned from him, is having the no tolerance, like the zero tolerance in your mind. This is the plan. This is what's going to work. There's no other option for me to steer from it. Having that mindset while you're in prep is what's going to help you be successful. And so for your first show, did you have a contest prep coach?
I did. His name was Tommy Jeffers, and he was a natural professional IFPA, I believe, bodybuilder. I met him at LA Fitness, and he coached me through my first 2 preps.
So what is your thoughts about having, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that think that they can do it themselves based on bodybuilding magazines and research and all that kind of stuff. What is your thoughts about having a coach?
Personally, I don't think I am mature enough or know my body well enough to be able to say...
I'm saying starter people.
Starter people, I don't think it's a smart idea for you to not have a coach. Mr. Olympia has a coach.
What does a coach do for you?
A coach will basically evaluate your physique week to week, day to day, give you a diet plan of what you need to eat every day, give you a cardio plan of what cardio you might need to do every day, and give you a weight training program. And he might give exercises and workouts, or he might not if he thinks you're mature enough to be able to, go in and kill it in the gym.
So what I think is super valuable about a coach is there's so much that goes into prep, mentally, physically, emotionally, food, nutrition, workouts, all that kind of stuff, that it almost allows you to take some of the stress off yourself. Like, I have this plan, I follow this plan, I don't steer from this plan, and if anything goes to crap, it's my coach's fault because I did everything it takes, everything I was supposed to do, and it kind of gives you some relief because competing can create some anxiety, can create some stress, but if you're following the plan to a T that your coach put forth for you, it can help alleviate a lot of the stress in the process.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, cool.
I'm just following, I am the soldier, he's the general. If I do what I need to do, then, everything goes to plan.
With that being said, something that's very important is communication with your coach. So even though he said, I'm the soldier, I follow the plan, I do what I'm told, I do feel like it's super, super important that if you have concerns, you have fears, you have suggestions, yes, a coach is educated and they've been through the process and they can guide you and help you, but deep down inside you will start to know and learn your body more than anyone. And so it's super important to be able to reach out to your coach and be like, hey, listen, this or that's not feeling super well, and your coach is the one that's supposed to help you understand why you're doing what you're doing. And so with your coach, do you feel confident? Who's your coach right now?
My coach is a local competitor. His name is Mel Newman.
How could people get a hold of him if they wanted? Because does he coach other people still? Like, does he take on other people?
No.
Never mind. You're special. Yay.
He does not prep. That is not his job, and that is basically why I chose him. He is a personal trainer, and he trains normal people at the gym. And he currently is prepping me, my friend Keanu, his friend Keanu.
So he takes select people.
He's taking me and his good friend Keanu and his cousin Eric for the past show we just did and for this Kentucky Derby show. And he's just doing that basically because we're friends, family.
And you
I
have a lot
consider
of
him
knowledge.
my
He
best
doesn't.
friend.
He doesn't need to baby you through the process. So that probably
No.
makes it easier on him to take you as a client.
Yes, and that has caused problems with his cousin. He has needed to baby him a little bit. I am.
We're gonna cut that part out. No, I'm just joking.
But yes, I am quite knowledgeable, and I've been through it before, so I know how to be a good client along with being a good friend.
Okay.
So
what do you feel? Try to let people understand, because I told you I feel like there's parts that you can prepare people. What does prep feel like?
prep feels like a very
Like when you start to like try to take them through it. So say you have like a lot of people will do like a 12, 16, 20 week prep, and what that means is dieting down for a show. What does it feel like starting off the first 4 weeks, the second 4 weeks, the last 4 weeks, the last week? Like just try to like briefly take them down what they would feel or what their mind thinks as they're going through it. Because I know Matt and I are really good friends, and we've texted a lot throughout this process. And even though he is not a super duper emotional person, prep can bring you to be an emotional person. So I want you to be honest, be real, be raw, kind of give them examples of what it feels and how you think going through.
An analogy I would say for prep is like watching a 3-hour-long movie like Lord of the Rings and getting through it all, and or going on like a 16-hour car ride to Florida. It's kind of that. Like at first you're all excited.
Super excited,
Yeah,
like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Florida, I'm going to
super
Disney
excited
World.
for all that, all those emotions. You see changes, like you start dropping, because at first like you're like, oh, well, my diet's starting soon, so I should go out and eat and drink all the way.
Oh yeah, get super
Yeah.
fat, and then the pictures are going to be amazing when you do the process.
Let's have all the cocktails we want and order this and order that. And hey, it was the holidays. I certainly did that. So at first you're all excited and you take pictures, you can send them to your coach, you get your plan, and it's all good. Like your energy is good, you're eating a decent amount of food.
Your mood's good.
Yeah, it's all good. And you start seeing those changes because you start dropping water from all the crappy food you were eating, switching to good food, and doing cardio a few times a week. For me, I guess, because I have a very fast metabolism.
Yeah, so he doesn't do very much cardio, but know that your coach isn't a terrible person if you're up to an hour a day or 2 hours a day.
I got up to an hour a day with a very fast metabolism.
I was going to say, some people, even myself, I was at 2 hours a day towards the end of my cardio, so that's not something that's abnormal when it comes through prep. But go ahead, I just wanted to clarify that. So you're feeling good, you're feeling energized, you're not doing much cardio.
16, 12 weeks out, yeah, it's all good. Training is still really good, nothing crazy going on. You're losing maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds probably, I'm guessing. You start taking pictures, you start seeing those changes, and that's a really cool process. You start seeing like differences in the abs and stuff like that when you're taking pictures in the same light and stuff. I always really liked when my abs started showing. That's a personal thing for me.
No, me too.
And then 12 weeks out, like I would say your coach has probably made a few changes to your diet and your cardio. If not, like he probably should at that point in time.
Or you're making progress, because some people's metabolisms are pretty high, and so I've had clients where we haven't changed much of anything. But if they don't change your nutrition, they should be changing maybe your cardio, as long as you're making progress, dropping weight. But yeah,
I agree. If you do, hey, if you look great and you made great process, then hey, why fix it if it's broke? Then 12 to 8 weeks. 12 to 8 weeks is pretty fun still. Probably taking out a decent amount. Probably getting through that. There's probably been some food taken out, some cardio added in. Your energy's a little bit lower. You're a little bit less tolerant of things, I would say.
So do you think prep actually brings out the raw, honest you? Like the things that you think about immediately, but you don't say it, but it's like a process. Like 12 weeks out, you're like super sweet. Then about 8 weeks out, you start saying things that maybe you would have held off a little bit.
I've shocked myself with some of the things I would say. I would come out and just be like, I would say something and I'd be like, I would usually hold that in.
Yeah.
Like, and it was only like little bits here and there at that point in time. Like I would surprise myself just like maybe once a week or something along those lines. But absolutely, I can be a little bit passive or hold my tongue or bite my tongue sometimes when I'm in a good mood, just because I don't want to offend someone. But
dieting will bring it out.
I am not afraid to say how I'm feeling. That's for sure.
So let's get to 6 weeks.
6 weeks out. Personally, for me, 7 weeks out to 4 weeks out, we tried to drop like as much body fat as we could from this prep, and those were the hardest weeks of my life.
And that's different. Some preps, they just slowly ease all the way
Yes.
in, but some people like to get people ready like
little
early,
early, yeah.
and then coast into the show.
Mm-hmm.
So for his coach, they decided to hit it hard, go ham for a couple weeks, and not be able to back off a little bit. So I just wanted to explain to you guys that every prep's different.
Right. So in those 7 to 4 weeks, or those weeks, 7 weeks out, 4 weeks out, those 3 weeks were just god awful. And it's not going to be like that for everyone, like I said. But I think everyone has those weeks or those times during prep where
You need to be mentally prepared for that.
Yeah, you need to be mentally prepared to
I am walking
feel
death
horrible
right now.
I was on my way back from class, like with tears in my eyes, just because I was so tired and so exhausted. There were times when I was on the couch watching TV, and I had to mentally prepare myself to get up and go pee. And
Like you almost want to pee your pants. You're so tired.
It seemed easier to piss myself than get up and go pee, but
we promise. We love it. We love it.
I did not. Yeah. Oh, I do. I mean, that really that's gut check time. Like, are you man enough to You think your competition is going through this? Like, we'll see come stage
and that's
time.
the thing. That's the thing. He just nailed it right there. If you are constantly thinking, number one, you have to have a strong enough reason why that you're competing, that no matter what the excuse that comes up to your brain, your why is so much more important that it carries you through on those days that you want to piss your pants instead of get off the couch. That's what it is. Like your why has, and it's okay if your bodybuilding is not for you. Whatever life change that you have in your life, make sure your why, your reason for doing what you do is so powerful that nothing can break you down. Because for him and his prep, he is 110% because his why is super duper important, which I'm about to ask you what your why is.
I love it.
You love it.
It's that simple.
It's what you think about when you wake up. It's what you think about when you go to sleep.
Yeah, I eat, sleep, and live it. That's it. I'm focused on... I'm either training, I'm either eating, I'm either resting to go to the gym or resting from the gym or
so you feel like this might be your
YouTube
purpose?
videos. I absolutely believe God or some higher power put me on this earth to do this. Yes, absolutely. 100%.
See, and that is super, super powerful. So you hear that for him, that this is his purpose, this is his life, this is his mission, this is what gets him going in the morning and helps him sleep at night, keeps him awake at night because he's so excited about it, except right now maybe. But for other people, it might be different. Like, I do it as, this might sound crazy to him, but I do it as a hobby. I do it because I think it's fun. I think it's to challenge myself. I'm so addicted to the point of challenge to strengthen myself, because he's explaining to you these days that are super duper hard. It's those super hard days that make you a better person. It's those hard days that make you appreciate life, make you love life, make you just empowered. It's the hard days. And for me, putting myself out there in super challenging situations is what gives me a lot of growth. And that's why I do it. So you can see that our reasons or our missions or our purpose or whatever is so different, but as long as it's important to you, then it's cool. Now let's get to week 2 to 3. How do you feel there?
Weeks 2 to 3, I felt actually a lot better. We eased off on a few things that just make you feel crappy, and were just absolutely draining. So the birds were chirping, the sun was shining, and I was in a pretty good mood. Feeling good, just walking around and having energy.
You didn't want to pee the couch?
No, I didn't want to pee the couch.
Okay.
I could get up and go to the bathroom. However, looking at my physique, I was very self-conscious, and I'm very stressed out. I didn't know if I was going to be ready.
Is that normal for you? Is that normal each prep for you to start
That actually wasn't normal, but I think it became more normal because I've got older and matured and learned much more about
maybe because it
prep.
Meant more to you?
It did. It absolutely...
And so that's
this prep has absolutely been the hardest prep of my life and has meant so much to me.
You feel like you've grown as a person going
100%,
through this prep.
Yeah. I've grown in a major way. I honestly think I'm a different person than from when I started. And I think for the better, 100%.
See, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So, how is it going from... So, for me, prep actually feels worse probably the last 3 to 5 weeks. That's when I really start struggle boat, because I don't do that huge crash at like week 6 and 7 or whatnot to really get a lot of fat burn. So that's where we're different there. So just know every prep's different. So how did you feel going into your last show to this show? Because it's a 2-week difference. So he competed 2 weeks ago, and now he's competing in 2 days. So
we had that first week where everything was back to normal. I was back doing cardio the very next day, and the next day felt fine because I got to eat for the show, so I had tons of energy and all that. But then you start getting back to an hour of cardio a day, and your body has to drop back down to ketosis. For me, because I'm on 0 carbs, and that is not a fun process when your blood
what's
sugar
that do to your
drops.
brain? Like, how do you think differently when you're in prep?
Little things that don't matter. Like, my sister ruined the season finale of The Bachelor for me, and I went off on her. I freaked out.
Did you just admit that on TV?
I did. I love my reality TV.
That's cute.
And I absolutely went off on her, and like 30 minutes later, I was like,
I'm sorry.
like that's not
Even that big of a deal.
Yeah. So you're in.
What about thinking clear? Are there things that, like, because he's in college, guys, he just took his finals.
Yeah.
So do you feel like your brain literally, because I know for me when I was in prep, I'd like put pills in the freezer, or I would like
I found
things,
an avocado in the freezer.
right? Like things just don't flow in your brain as well, right? Like when you don't.
Not good. I found like I just had a hard time learning and comprehending topics that were being taught, and I had little to no
Would you suggest
desire.
college people to compete?
It's a double-edged sword. If you can do it where you're not peak in peak week during finals,
yeah,
that would be
ideal,
preferable. But unfortunately, my peak week was during finals, which did not help one little bit.
So, with that being said, it's really, really hard to find people that have the passion or the love for the sport in a healthy way like you do, that are young like you. So do you still suggest anybody just, hey, I saw a show, I want to do that, and I'm in college?
No.
Or do you feel like, because like I said, I don't encourage people to compete when they're in college or in high school or anything like that. I don't even really encourage people to compete. I let people come to me because it is an extremely hard sport, and you have to have a huge purpose or huge reason why. You have to be knowledgeable about it. So would you only encourage people that had some knowledge of the sport, had some kind of passion or purpose? Because I get a lot of people, you'd be shocked, I get a lot of clients and a lot of people that come at me wanting to compete, and they've never even been to a show. They just want to, they see him in the gym and he's looking like a hot tamale, and they're like, I want that, So then they just tell me, hey, I want to compete. What would you say for those people?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure what I would say.
His brain's not thinking very clear, though. So. He's 2 days out, guys.
Because, when you say encourage, I wouldn't ever encourage anyone to do a show. You shouldn't need encouragement if you want to do a show.
And that's a defining, yes, you do. I feel like you don't need to have a support system to compete. It's very, it makes it easier on you, and it definitely is a lot more helpful for you to have a support system.
I think you should have a support system, but I'm saying that overall decision to start and say I'm going to do a show, I shouldn't
have to be 110%.
I shouldn't need to be like, do a show, and you'd be like, I don't know. But when you're actually in prep, if I didn't have you or didn't have my coach and a couple of good friends and my mom, then oh god, I probably wouldn't make it. But I don't think you should need encouragement. I don't think anyone should have to
push you to do it.
Yeah, no one should have to push you.
Because a lot of coaches out there do. They find somebody in the gym, they think they have a nice body, and they're like, oh, dude, you should compete. Girl, your body, you're such a waste because you should just compete and blah, blah, blah. I can't stand that. Cannot stand that, because you can encourage it one time. You get a one-time card to say, hey, maybe because that sparks the interest because somebody didn't know anything about it, and then they're like, I want to learn about it. But it's that person that needs to go out and research. It's that person that needs to go to a show. It's that person that needs to reach out to coaches and ask them questions. It's not people constantly coming at them and be like, you should do it. And they finally go, well, I guess I'll just do it. Because it's not worth it then.
No.
It's not worth it then.
Yeah, not at all. And then you don't take it that seriously.
Right.
I think the whole little comment that says, hey, man, you ever thought about doing a show? That's fine.
Yeah.
But, you shouldn't... Someone that's you really need to do a show. You really need to do a show.
Because there's people out there like that.
Yeah, there's definitely... you and I both know people like that.
Yeah.
And those are not real friends, and those are not real people. They want to be by your side when you're successful.
And that's it, right? They're not with you through the process. So tell me, we'll have to wrap it up here soon. Tell me, how has it been like going through college and the people around you? Because when I was in college, this was not like, this is the body people want, but nobody wants to do what it takes to get to that body. So all your friends around you have had to see you dieting, go to the gym twice a day. I mean, you don't really have time to have a lot of friends. So how have you been able to still keep the friends that you do have? Do you feel like prep actually will show you the true friends you have?
I think so.
And
I
how
think
so?
so, because you realize who stays in your life when it's really hard to make time, and who wants to make an effort to be in your life
Regardless.
when you're at the gym twice a day and you have 3 classes and you have to eat all your meals and then study and then go to bed.
And that's huge, because his friends, I have friends too, I have girlfriends that would be like, girl, no, I'm going to go eat my chicken and I'm not going to the gym. And you know what? They love me regardless. They support me regardless. We go and do things regardless. Those are my lifers. And no matter whether I'm prep or not prep, I'm sure there's plenty of friends that he has that are just kind of healthy, fit people, but they respect what he does. And I think that's huge, having people around you. Set those boundaries with people. Make sure that you keep the people around you that are there from the beginning, throughout, and at the end, and we'll keep it real with you. So we're going to wrap it up with a quick kind of maybe funny. What is something or a few things that, well, we'll do 2 things, that you did during prep that was just like bizarre or funny or like diet brain, they call it?
Diet. So I got 2 stories. I have 2 separate ones.
Okay.
One is that when you're dieting, you find foods in your diet that are special to you, and for me those are my protein shakes, and I would put my protein shakes in the freezer so they would get really nice and cold, and it was just whey and peanut butter, but that was just
that was your thing.
That's my thing. That they taste like milkshakes from like Steak and Shake almost.
But when you're not dieting,
they don't taste.
They don't. So like, I noticed back in the day, I would like encourage people like, oh my god, it's so amazing, this tuna and rice cake or whatever. And then when I'm not dieting, I'm like,
right,
oh, I pretty much lied to you, because it does not taste that good.
Yeah,
so,
that whole mind thing goes away. It's
yeah,
crazy,
things taste better.
They do.
When
you get
you're
a
dieting.
better appreciation. But I put it in the freezer, and I'm dieting during spring, so it's been pretty warm outside lately. And I would put it in my cool bag, and I would leave it in the car, and I would go work out after I'd come out, and I would drink it. It would be thawed.
Perfect.
Thawed
perfect.
And it was cold that day, and it was not thawed. And it was frozen, and I
Were you
was
crying?
it was like, and I'm 20 minutes away from my house, and it is rush hour traffic, and
You just want to like, ding ding, come on!
and I grab it, and I'm so like frustrated and pissed that I slam it on my steering wheel, and it explodes, and I start freaking out. I start crying. And
This is while you're dieting,
I'm
right?
I'm not crying because I have shake everywhere in my car. I'm crying because I don't have a shake. And I call my mom.
But this is not something he would do normally.
No.
Like, can you picture this in your head? Like, you see the shake, you're like, ah! And then you're like, son of a bitch! And then it's breaking, and then you're crying, and you're in the car, and you're a man.
And I called my mom, and I cried to my mom on the phone about how I didn't have a shake.
And so, see, and this is what's so important about the people being around you, being supportive, because, like, normal folk would be like, dude, it's just a shake, chill.
Not just a shake.
But you just have to sometimes listen and be supportive. But is that the 2?
One other time is for my accounting class, we had homework due, and I was doing our chapter 10 homework, and I was like, what the hell, like, this makes no sense. It's harder than ever, like, I've never learned how to do this. And when I went to class, she asked us to turn in our chapter 9 homework, because we had not gotten to chapter 10 yet.
But you couldn't, like, grab.
I was like,
you were like, no wonder it was so flippin' hard.
Yeah, I was like, no wonder it was so hard. We hadn't even gotten to chapter 10 yet.
Oh my gosh.
So I spent 45 minutes on a chapter ahead.
See, and those are the things that you would do. Like me, I completely, just one quick story. I was driving and I was normal. I was like 2 weeks out, and the light literally turned from red to green, and I just stopped, and I'm just looking at the light. And everybody around me is like honking and stuff, and I'm like, God, Brandon, like everybody's like honking at me. And come to find out the light's green. But like my brain just did not comprehend it. And that stuff's normal. So we're going to wrap it up again. Like I said just 2 seconds ago. I want you to give people 3 tips of if somebody's looking to compete, just maybe words of wisdom that you would give them going into competition. That could be getting a coach. That could be like prepping the mind. That could be staying true. Like whatever. What are 3 things you would tell somebody interested in competing? Just interested.
I would say get a coach. Definitely get a coach that's not, oh well, I'm the pro maker and I take on 50.
So you say research, like go out there and look at different coaches and figure out.
Try and get yourself a local guy that you can talk to and meet up with, not just send pictures and be a paycheck to them.
P.S. People are not local that I work with, but that's not what I do it for.
If you're responding back and forth, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But you get people that just.
Make sure you don't get a cookie cutter coach who just sends you the same program, barely responds to you. If your coach is not responding to you at least 3 to 4 times a week, then maybe you need to move to a different coach. Especially new people wanting to, especially people wanting to learn. Like my clients check in with me 5 times a week. We respond back and forth, any questions they have. And a coach that doesn't answer your questions, bye, because this is a learning process for you, and our goal should be to teach you yourself so well that you don't need to rely on us other than going through prep. Okay?
If you're paying $100 a month and you don't get a response within a week or 2, 3, 4 days, then he's gone.
Bye.
Get a coach. Do not cheat on your diet. 100%. Like, I don't care. You think, like, I'm hungry too. Like, I don't give a shit. Do not cheat on your diet, because when you're on stage,
you will remember that if you don't place well, or
you will remember that.
Okay, but it can 2 things. What if that person cheated and won and did really well? It will either make you feel guilty if you lost or didn't do as well as you did, or it's going to set you up for false hope.
Yeah.
Because the next show, when there's people that do show up that give 110% that have better genetics than you, it's setting you up for failure, so don't cheat yourself. I just want to show people that, because I've had people cheat on a program and still win a show, and then they just think, oh, well, I can do this and that, and I can cheat on my diet and do this. And I know some pro coaches out there that do that, but then they go to the real league and they go to compete against people that actually don't cheat and have great genetics. You set yourself up for failure.
Local Indiana shows and junior nationals is to
whole different ball game.
Big different things. So you can
coach.
Don't cheat on your diet. I don't care how hungry you are, how tired you are, how much you want to cry because you need food. I don't give a shit. Don't cheat on your diet, because you're gonna remember that. And number 3. Oh gosh, I don't know if there is a number 3 I can think of right now.
You just said it earlier. Do you think making sure that you educate your support system on what you're doing, why you're doing it, so I think it's very important, because if your parents didn't know why you do what you do, I mean, it's inevitably people around you will say their opinion because they care about you and they don't want you to hurt. They don't want you to feel starving. They don't want you to do this. But if they find out the reason why you do what you do, it's a lot easier to be supportive of what you're doing.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely a 3rd tip. You need 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 key people in your life. You can text, call at any moment, and they know why you're doing it. Sometimes they'll just listen. They're not going to say, well, why don't you do that? Well, you have that cookie. They just
make sure you set
those. Just listen. They don't say that shit. It's like, they're right. I'll go have no. They need to be like just an ear for you to cry.
So know which support people you can go to, because maybe he knows if he were to come to me, I'm not going to tell him go eat a piece of cake. But if he goes to somebody, I'm not saying his mom would do this or anybody else would do this, but maybe you just. Not everybody's going to know how to support you. You can have support people, but know which one you need to go to based on how you're feeling. Because I know personally my mom might not understand it, and she'll be like, okay, well, maybe you need an indulge meal, or maybe you need a refeed. Well, that's not what I fucking need to hear. That's not what I need to hear. So, yes, you can have a support system, but know which people you need to go to for what you're going through. Because his mama loves him. His mama doesn't want him to hurt. His mama doesn't want him to feel starving. So as much as she knows how to support him majority of the time, that might be 1 or 2 times that she's like, why can't you eat? And you know that that's not who you go for that. But he knows that he can go to his mom if he's feeling emotional about something. So just know the support, who to go to for what, right?
100%.
Okay, well, thank you so much for
Thank you for having me.
yes, being my very first interview ever. So, if you want to how can people get a hold of you or follow you in your journey? Do you
I have an Instagram page at Matt Goz9. That's MATTGOZ9.
You might want to say it a little louder because
I have an Instagram page. It's Matt Goz9, MATTGOZ9. That's it. I post like fitness stuff and other stuff about my life. Then other than that, that's about it. And then you want to send me a DM or anything along those lines, like I can probably respond with like my email or my personal phone. I do have a Facebook. I don't
use it very much.
Don't tweet.
So what would be an email people can reach you at? And I'll post this stuff below. The only reason I say that is because what if there's people that are younger that do want to personally reach out for you for your experience?
An email would be mgozdek, so it would be MGOZDECK @butler.edu. Go Bulldogs. And she'll post that below because my last name's just a tad hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it to start. I was like, how do you say your last name when we started this interview?
Gozdecki.
And I was like, we're just not even going to worry about that. So thank you so much for joining with us for my very first interview. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. And hopefully you guys go and support Matt for his show this weekend. Kentucky Derby is it at Louisville?
It is in Louisville at the Gulf Hotel.
Yeah, so if you're there, go say hey. All right. Thanks, guys.